Okay, good morning. Part 2 of On the Farm vid, and this week's vid is going to be all about grazing, cows, cow numbers, calves, and exactly where we're at on that front. Now, obviously I said originally I wanted to get to 80, then I wanted to get to 100. I've had a slight change of opinion again because I want to get to around about 150, 160. Because if we've got 150 or 160 head of sucklers, then we're going to average 3 fat cattle a week if we keep everything through to fat, and we've got the room to do so. We've got 2 groups out in other places, which I'm not going to take you to today, but the 2 other places that we've got them grazing, they're going to be added into the suckler herd later on this year, because at the moment they're just a little bit too young, and at the same time they're not quite hitting the weight. But our main suckler herd and the bits that we've been buying this year and added into, we've already got now out grazing everywhere. So at the moment we're trying to get 2 big herds together of around about 50 to 60 cows, or cows and heifers in each one, with obviously calf at foot. So what we've done so far is this is one of our mobs here that is starting to grow. So anything that is calved, and we've sorted it all out inside, that has now come out, and that is in here. So all of these in this group behind me are the cows that have calved. So this is the group that we're building up now to get to about 50 or 60 head in here, and that is where we're going to put Sam. Presently he's in the shed, but he's about to come out. He's been corned up, so he's full of beans, ready to go, and hopefully he's going to get right into action as soon as he gets out, because everything in here is bulling. We have got to have a little bit of a sort out, because in all fairness, we've got some stuff in here that we want to wean off and take in. Spin round. This here group, there's about 18 or so in there. There's a handful more to come out the shed that we've been having a few issues with, and they're going to go in with these. But ultimately this is going to be the top up for the group of cows that we've got over with Udo on the Trent side of the big site. Now the reason for that is the group that we've got out with Udo presently, then he's presently running with them, there's a lot of heifers in that group. So where we've been adding to our suckler herd, we've put the heifers to Udo, because Udo is a bit smaller than Sam and a little bit more, fingers crossed, easier calving. So we want the heifers to Udo, and obviously we've got to top that up with what stock we've got here. But the reason we've put them in this paddock for the moment is basically because the calves are a little bit too small to go out on that side of Trent, because a lot of ditches and the fencing is nowhere near as good as it is here. But ultimately it's working a treat now, because like I say, Philip Walton has been in and he's been doing us some fencing. Now this 20-acre paddock or field that we've got here, we've now split that into 3 paddocks. So from a grazing rotation point of view, we're going to do the same as what we did last year. We're going to strip graze and make sure the cows are absolutely nailing the grass that we've got before we move them on to the next paddock to get the most out of the ground that we've got. We have the numbers accordingly, which are going to be about 50-ish head of cattle per group that are going round the 2 different parcels that we're going to be grazing. And ultimately we've got these then 8, I think it is, 7-acre-ish paddocks. So that will give us the 21-day rotation, and in all fairness, if they don't nail it in time, we'll leave the 1 paddock out and we can then mow that and just bale it accordingly. But as it worked out, it's working a treat so far, and the grass is growing back like crazy on the 15-acre over there, so it's definitely working. So we're going to carry on with that, and like I say, we're going to move these across to here. So this is Udo's lot, and this is the big site that we have not yet developed that we're grazing, and additionally to that, we've took on another sort of 25 acres just the other side of the ditch line from a grazing profile. So again, we've got this mob of about 50 or 60, or what will be by the time we finished adding everything to it, that will go round grazing this parcel of land off in its strip grazing sort of format, and that should keep everything sort of tied up here. Now we are prepared a little bit that this ground doesn't grow as well as the stuff that we've got at home, but what the plan is we're going to have a decent PDing session probably in, I don't know, about 6 weeks time, and we're going to relieve the pressure off here, because we've got the field just the other side of the roundabout of 20 odd acres there, that we're going to take a proportion of these that are definitely in calf, put them on that other field, take the pressure then away from this ground, and therefore everything will be out grazing all through the summer until the back end. By which time we'll obviously have our sheds done, and we'll have loads more room at the farm to be bringing stock back in, which is important we do, because our numbers are massively up. I made a little bit of a schoolboy error, because we bought in like crazy in the beginning. We bought in again last year, but we didn't buy really enough to sort of compensate for the fat stock that we were selling of everything that we'd brought through from the beginning. So numbers effectively weren't high enough, and the problem I've got is ours is a new built farm that we've started from scratch. Everything is mortgaged, and therefore for me, I don't want the sheds empty. Unfortunately, that means we've got to reinvest to buy stock in to fill the sheds, because we haven't got enough presently of our own weaned off calves to be putting through the sheds to keep them full and keep them earning us money through the summer months. We've got this immense grazing profile ground now around us, and a lot of it, so that fulfills the requirements of all the suckler herd, even when we've increased that suckler herd to about 160 at the back end. But at the same time, we've got all of that other stock, and we've got the mowing ground now that obviously we need to fulfill the requirements for these, but at the same time, we've still got surplus silage and stuff left from last year. So for me, the sheds have got to be earning money, which has unfortunately meant in this time where the beef price is up and the weanlings are high, the calf price is high, the store cattle price is high, you can't actually win. So what we've done is we've tried to fill the sheds as best we can with stock that we can afford. I would rather have better stock on the bank than poorer quality, so we have been to obviously Drayton week in, week out, but at the same time we've been across to Bishop's Castle auction and we bought some from there. And because we've been bringing the cattle numbers up, I think it is absolutely fair now for everybody out there. If you're not going to call me The Rock because I look like him, you can call me John Dutton-Gilb, because our cow numbers are massively up. We are at 367 head of stock presently. It's a bit of an oddball number, so I think we're going to have to get to 400, sorry Mark. But ultimately, it has cost us a small fortune to buy that many in, because I think we bought roughly about 180, 190 head of cattle or head of stock in this year alone. Prices have been massively up, so if you average that out at roughly 950 to 980 pound per head of stock that we've bought in, it's a mountain of money that we have invested again back into stock. But I am hoping that with the sheds full all summer, the stock that we've bought, we will have a load of stock that is ready to sell at Christmas, and we'll start recouping some of the money, and then when we go into next year, we'll have all of our own calves coming through, so we won't need to buy anywhere near that level of stock. Albeit, like I said, I still want the sheds full, because they have to earn all through that summer month, or all through the summer months, when everything else is out in its grazing profile. Back at the farm. So then back at the farm, obviously the last of the cows that have calved are in here ready to go out. Now that's been a bit of a nuisance, which is why what I want to do when I do that infill roof behind you guys, to put the hospital pens in, because one of the reasons this shed is not empty and these are not out grazing at the minute is because my favourite cow had twins a few days ago. We've got one that's literally the size of a squirrel and the other one that's a fair enough calf. So we just want to keep them in a little bit longer, because it's still got a little bit of a bitter bite in the morning. We've got two others that are just not mothering their calves, which is not ideal. That is meaning that we are going to have to, or we have to daily, twice a day, bring them into the crush. We let them have a little bit of corn at the front of the crush to keep them entertained and in there, while effectively we're milking the cow off to then bottle feed the calf. That's no good to us, it's a load of work, but obviously you are going to get caught out with these things year on year. Now, for me, what I think we'll do is we'll keep the calf, and unfortunately we'll get rid of the cow. If it's not going to take to the calf, I don't want to run the chance of that happening again next year and causing us all this extra work and aggro, and ultimately the calf not doing as well as what it should do had the mother been mothering it. So I think for us, the cows, we'll probably fatten them up and sell them into the fat. This is why I want to get up to about 160, because we've always got that 10 or a buffer of 10 then in terms of replacements and bits and bobs that, you know, if we have any issues. But really these should be out and this shed should be clear, and this shed therefore should be earning with fattening stock in it, not what I want out in the grazing rotation. So that's where, like I say, in that infill roof area, we'll have that element of hospital pens that we can put them into. We've still got some loose housing as well, but we'll have some hospital pens in there that we can just easily deal with these problematic ones. From a calving perspective as well, at the back end, it gives us the chance then to set these buildings up a bit better for how we want to calve, because we've had a couple of close calls. Some of our cows have been most of our cows have been very, very good actually, but there has been two particularly lively ones, both in the same shed, and both have nearly caused injury because we had to get the one out the top shed and into the paddock. and in all fairness, it just would not go. We couldn't get near the calf to tag the calf. She just got right naughty. In the end, we used the buggy to go in there just to sort of corner the calf, to get the calf away from the cow long enough to tag it and then get them out to the field. We just could not, she was that nasty, we just couldn't get near it. But ultimately for calving, we have had a pretty good run, so I can't really whinge too much because we've only lost a very, very small amount, and at the same time we've only had them 2 naughty cows. So in the grand scheme of things of calving, what is it, 80 cows and heifers, we haven't had a great deal of trouble, so I'm very grateful for that. Anyway, that's it for here on the farm this week. The only thing I am going to ask, a bit of a question for you guys, as we start getting the numbers, as they are now calling me John Dutton-Gilb everywhere I go, and we've got Rip over here and Jimmy over here, we've now started to think about a go green future. So using the buggy, the telehandler, I don't know whether we're going to continue doing that or whether we are going to get ourselves some horses and cowboy hats. I would obviously need a Shire horse, Ryan can have a donkey, and if anyone has a Shetland, obviously that's what Mark needs. So if you have all 3, please drop us a comment in the box. But that's it for here on the farm. If you like what you've seen, hit subscribe and we'll leave you with a mini montage of our cows and how good the calves were.